Oh. All right. Our objective for today, I can derive the quadratic formula by completing the square. Let's read together. 1, 2, 3. I can derive the quadratic formula by completing the square. So derive means that you need to create. We're creating the quadratic formula, and we know the process of completing the square. Is that correct? That's the process that we use right now for the warm-up. So now, every year, every year that we get to this lesson, I introduce it like this. Watch. All right. So, completing the square. So we know what quadratic equations are. We've been working with those. The process for completing the square we already know. It's 6 steps. Remember that? Setting the quadratic equation to standard form, divided by the leading coefficient, eliminate the constant, adding the over 2 squared, factor, then from there take the square root, write 2 equations, and solve. That's the process that we know, right? So all the processes that we've been practicing, they're already in here, okay? Today's going to be the first time that we're going to work with like pure algebra. No numbers. It's all variables. So you're going to have to trust your process. That's what we've been practicing all this time. And the way I introduce this, and I tell each year my students, is like, one of my favorite movie series is Star Wars. And the very first movie that came out was A New Hope. And it was about good versus bad. And the good guys are called Jedi, the bad guys are called Siths. Okay? The leader of the bad guys, or the main character, is Darth Vader. For those of you that don't know, that's where they get that he talks like this, I am your father, and stuff like that, right? So, yeah, I know, well, that's why I'm a teacher, I'm not an actor. So anyways, so he ends up fighting with the good guys. In the good guys, there's this one teacher that teaches like the Jedis, especially this one young kid, Luke Skywalker. The teacher's called Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Obi-Wan Kenobi, here's a spoiler, ends up getting into a lightsaber battle with Darth Vader. Vroom, vroom, vroom. And all of a sudden Darth Vader, no, he hits him like in his body, and he disintegrates. Because disintegrates, he becomes dust. Yeah, so he dies, right? So at the end, the rebels, which are the Jedis, they find out that the bad guys made a planet out in space that's actually a station that has a lethal weapon, that by shooting it to other planets, with one shot they destroy those planets. So them was trying to protect the other planets. They did a counteroffensive against the bad guys, and they got in ships, and they wanted to go in and destroy that ship called the Death Star. It was a planet. So all these ships are going in, and then here goes the bad guys behind them. They start shooting them down and stuff like that, crashing. Some end up dying and stuff like that. And the last one is Luke Skywalker. And then behind him, he's got like 2 ships behind him, and he's like going like fast. And you can see like on his screen that he's going really fast. He's getting really close to the Death Star. And then he sees the target from far away. It's like maybe 5-10 miles away. But he has an electronic device that he presses a button. Now all of a sudden here comes these goggles down. And those goggles have a 3D view. And they zoom so far in that he sees the target like almost in front of him, where he can actually zoom in and shoot. That was his training. So he was getting close, and then all of a sudden he presses the button. Here come the goggles, and all of a sudden he hears, Luke, use the Force. He's like, whoa. So he turns off the goggles because he heard the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he passed away, right? So he's like, did I really hear that? So again, he's like, okay, shake it off, shake it off. So then he goes, presses the button, here goes the goggles again, and all of a sudden, Luke, use what you practice. He's like, what? So, and this is how I relate it to what we're going to do. I'm Obi-Wan, you guys are Luke Skywalkers. So, be nice. So, therefore, right now you're gonna, some of it's gonna seem like it's kind of off because it's all variables, but trust your processes. Trust the practice that we've done. Okay? So with that said, write your name, date, period at the top right corner of your paper, and title it Deriving the Quadratic Formula. Copy that, please. All right, here we go. Deriving the Quadratic Formula. So we're starting with a quadratic equation. Write this down. ax squared plus bx plus c equals y. So, like any other quadratic equation, what is the first thing we do when we have a quadratic equation like this? Substitute y for 0. So we end up with ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. And now let's start our completing the square process. What is step 1? Is it in standard form? Yes. Step 2, what do? Divide by the leading coefficient. What's our leading coefficient? A. Remember, there's no more numbers from this point forward. A, the whole thing. So therefore we end up with x squared plus b over ax plus c over a equal to 0. Step 3, eliminate the constant. What is my constant? C over a, so we subtract c over a. Subtract c over a. We end up with x squared plus b over a x, leave a space, equals, leave another space, negative c over a. So we're done with step 1, 2, 3. Step 4, we're going to add b over 2 squared. So what is b here? B over a. You're like, wait a minute. It's kind of weird because it's b and this one is b over a. I know, right? Therefore, let's write b over 2a squared plus b over 2a squared. Now, did everybody see how I got b over 2a? From b over 2. If you didn't, let's do a little thinking cloud over here. And I'm going to show you how I got this. Here we go. According to this, we have b over 2 squared. So what is b? B over a. So this is b over a. And instead of writing it over 2, I'm going to write what? Divided by 2 squared. Are we there so far? From there, 2 becomes 2 over 1, so this is b over a times 1 over 2 squared. Is that correct? So what is b times 1? b, 2 times a, 2a, and all that to the, and that's how we get that. Write that down so that you have it as reference. But this I'm not going to require for you to do. This is just so that you know where this came from. Okay? Alright, so that was step 4. Copy that, please. I'll give you 20 seconds. Here we go. So I think we left off, let's see, we were right here. We combined these two fractions here. We took the square root, which is our last step. This cancel this, we're left with x plus b over 2a equals plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Here, we were able to take the square root of the denominator, but not the numerator because we have a negative here, right? From here, we just eliminated minus 2a to each side. We ended up with x equals minus b over 2a plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And we combine these two fractions, and that's how we get our quadratic formula. Everybody got it? Yeah. So with that said, turn your paper over. Let's do it again. Oh, no. Title it, Deriving the Quadratic Formula. Huh? On the back side. Use the force. Trust your training. So we start off with ax squared plus bx plus c equals y. Okay? Yes. Here we go. Our first step is to change y into what? 0. So this becomes ax squared plus bx plus c. From there, yes. Eliminate the constant? Not really. We need to first do what? Divide by the leading coefficient. So let's see. At this point, make sure you cover your steps. Is it in standard form? Yes. Step 2, divide by the leading coefficient, which is a. We're left with x squared plus b over ax plus c over a equals 0. Step 3, eliminate the constant. Minus c over a minus c over a. This cancels. We're left with x squared plus b over ax. Leave a space, equal, leave another space, minus c over a. So we're done with step 1, 2, 3. Step 4, we need to add b over 2 squared. And what do we write here? We write parentheses b over 2a squared, add b over 2a squared. Before I go to factor, let's simplify this side. What does b over 2a squared become? B squared over 4a squared, bringing down the minus c over a. But we need a common denominator to combine them, which means I need to multiply times 4a times 4a. So this becomes b squared over 4a squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Now we can write it as one fraction. What is our common denominator? 4a squared. Ah, my goodness, this fly really bugs. B squared minus 4ac. And now we can bring everything else down. X squared plus b over ax plus parentheses b over 2a squared. How we doing? Notice that it's not that rigorous, it's just lengthy, and we just need to remember the process, right? Yeah. So that was step 4. Step 5 is to factor. What do we do to factor? Take the square root of the first, x, square root of the last, b over 2a, and it's a plus, and that becomes to the second power, equal to b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared.
How can you always simplify the square on the...
This one?
Yeah, no, on the left.
On this one?
For the b over 2a.
What do you mean?
Why don't you... Yeah, why don't you just square it?
Square this?
Yeah.
Because we end up with the same thing at the end, don't we?
Yeah, but like... The square is just like kind of bugging me.
It's bugging you? Like the fly?
No, it's just like really annoying.
Okay. And our last step. Step 6, what do we do? Square root. Take the square root here to cancel this square, and square it on this side. This cancels this. We're left with x plus b over 2a equals plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac over what? 2a. We now need to leave x by itself, so what do I do? Minus b over 2a minus b over 2a. We're left with x equals minus b over 2a, and I bring down the plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And now I can combine these two fractions because they have a common denominator. So this becomes x equals minus b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And we end up with the quadratic formula. What's that? Oh. How we doing? Okay. So? All right. Put that paper under your desk. Get the other blank one. Let's see. Do it again by yourself. I'm gonna give you about 40 seconds head start, and then as you're working on it, I'm gonna start doing it on the board. And if you need to peek. Now that doesn't mean you can look at your notes. If you get stuck, look at your notes, write down the step, and then continue without looking at your notes. Here we go. So, title it, Deriving the Quadratic Formula. There you go. I already helped you out with the first step. Go. Alright, here I go. Once again, if you need to look up, that's fine. I'm going to get started. Hands if you're done. Okay. I'm almost done here. Thank you. So my fifth step is to factor square root of the first, square root of the last, squared. All that equal to b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. And my last step, step 6, take the square root. This becomes x plus b over 2a equals plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. From there I need to leave x by itself, minus b over 2a minus b over 2a. X equals negative b over 2a. In the second fraction, plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And now this becomes one fraction. X equals minus b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And that is our quadratic formula. Hands if you got that by yourself. Okay. Pretty good? Okay, let's turn it over one last time. So now I'm going to clear the board. There you go. Don't look at your process anymore. Everything from scratch. See if you got this by yourself. The title and everything. Go. As you're finishing up, tonight's home play is you need to do 4 deriving the quadratic formula. from scratch, which means when you get home, you're going to start one from blank. You're probably going to get stuck here and there, so make sure you look at your notes. Write the step, continue without looking. By the second time, hopefully you're almost completely done without looking. By the third time, you should be done without looking, right? Because we almost got it right now, right? So by the fourth time, you should be able to actually do it nice and neat, the complete process. Okay? Because tomorrow, in our parte, like I said, I'm only going to give you a blank sheet of paper and have you write it down. Okay? Alright, I'm going to close this video and enjoy your home play. See you guys tomorrow.